I am progressive. I am so progressive. Well, goodness gracious, fellas, that is a band called Unrivaled. They are from the mean, bloody streets of Cincinnati, Ohio. I'll tell you what, they're called Unrivaled. They have a Halloween-themed rock EP called Ghost Stories, which you're listening to right now. That was a song called Fiction. They also have On a Dark Stormy Night and a track called Terror Time, which is a cover from a Scooby-Doo song. It's pop punk. They call it rock, but I call it pop punk, and I love it. You will see the link to that album going up in the chat throughout the show. The first song you heard is from our own God of War tier member Alex Plox from Circus in the Sea and his own music. He's got a new album called Hate'll Rain. That song you heard is called Monarch. And the reason it's called Monarch is it's also one of the songs on the soundtrack of the new game Monarch from our very own Rob the Mod. So thank you guys very much for supporting the stream. And let us get into it. Let me see everybody's pretty faces first. I got to see your pretty darn faces. 1 minute. 1 minute. Hang on. Here we go, baby. We got a lot to talk about today, and we don't have a lot of time to do it. It's good to see everybody. There we go, baby. That's the Diet Coke and Jolly Rancher coming through my vein. Okay, let us focus. Thank you for being here. Good to see everybody. Couple of things I want to talk about just to kick things off. The first one is just pretty fucking cool. I got this from Eddie Torres. I got this from Six. Now we know, I don't know if we know, but I know that last night, I guess, I don't remember if it was on NXT or WWE, but one of the wrestling shows, somebody, and I don't know, I follow mostly the women wrestlers, but one of the dude wrestlers dressed up as Kratos, and he had the blue tattoo and all that stuff. I guess everyone's doing Halloween costumes, which is maybe what legally lets them get away with it. I don't fucking know. Well, then tonight, I guess this is AEW that I just got from Six and Eddie Torres. Check this shit out. Boom. So it was NXT last night, which was WWE, and then tonight it's a guy named Stu Grayson of the Cincinnati Graysons. Boy, these are terrible names for wrestlers. Hi, I'm Stu Grayson. I wrestle and I do your taxes. But there you go. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Let me just say this to you. The weirdest thing to get your head around is that you have been involved in things that people that now make entertainment that you love and that you fanboy over are actually inspired by stuff that you got to work on. Everything from stuff like this to when I hear like the sports announcers on NFL Monday night, whatever, or Sunday night talking about Twisted Metal. When I hear Asuka was a Twisted Metal fan, I'm just like, what are you talking about? It's like, it is, I never get over it. And I'm glad I don't. But I love that. I love watching the WWE show, and it entertains the fuck out of me. I think it's so funny, and to know that we did stuff that, made them happy is pretty, at least some of them happy, pretty fucking cool. Pretty fucking goddamn cool. But that's going on. Okay, I'm not breaking news right now. I'm genuinely coming to you looking for some advice. I'm looking to you guys coming, and you ladies looking for some information about this weird thing that I got when I went to Xbox Game Pass app today. Okay, so let me just, I was going there because there's some new game I wanted to download, blah, blah, blah. And if you don't have Xbox Game Pass, the app or whatever, they, like any other service like this, they have a coming soon section. Okay. So, I'm just going through, seeing what's coming soon. And, there's Forza, and there's a bunch of games dropped today, and there's Evil Genius is coming. And then I see Halo coming. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm down for that. And here's what I saw, though. And again, I just want to help me understand this. This cannot be what I think it is, but let me just walk through this with me. So this was what I saw on my phone. If you're not watching the show and you're just listening, it says Evil Genius 2 is coming on November 30th. Stalker, I think it's 2, is coming April. And then smack dab in the middle, they have Halo Infinite coming on the 8th, which we know. And there was a beta for it last month. It was a great beta, great deal of fun. And then underneath, though, it says Halo Infinite, it says multiplayer, right? But the campaign's also supposed to start on the 8th, right? So I know that the products are separate. No, Halo single player co-op was delayed till next year. Halo single player campaign, I mean, I triple checked this because I'm like, maybe I got it wrong. Halo single player campaign without co-op is supposed to be the 8th as well. And if you go down here, it's interesting because Xbox has it on their website kind of as two products, right? They have Halo Infinite, which is included with Game Pass. Just whatever is called Halo Infinite has the campaign. And then there's Halo Infinite, and it's called multiplayer. And I'm just kind of wondering if you're in... Now, again, if there's a link that says this game has been delayed, let me know. But I've been looking for it, and I'm like, no, I don't think they've announced that. Like, I mean, I literally... Here, if you go Halo Infinite Campaign launch date... Jesus, Jaffe, type slower, you fuck. December 8th. Microsoft shows off. If you go 2 days ago when they showed their trailer, which we'll talk about in just a couple of minutes, Halo Infinite's December 8th date approaching. Co-op and Forge mode were delayed, says Augernaut. Right. But from what I saw, for why Forge was delayed, it looks like it'll be crazy for what you're able to do. So, right. So, I'm not... This could be a million different things. It could simply be that they decided not to put it up there. Okay, well, yeah, that's different, though. My guess, says Chris, is that since it's free to play, they're decoupling it from the main game. Yes, that's absolutely what Xbox is doing. Like, if you go to that page we were just on, somewhere in here, they identify both products as unique products, right? So you can get the free-to-play version of Halo Infinite multiplayer, which looks like this. Okay, this box. And there's also something in here if you want to buy it where you can... Here, watch, I'll show you actually. So you go down here and you see the box for just Halo Infinite. So if I say, okay, I want to pre-order this, you click on this and it's going to show you two boxes, I think, or it did the other day. It basically... here it is right here. In this bundle, you have the Halo Infinite and you have the Halo Infinite multiplayer. So I get that there are going to be two downloads. Maybe it's just an oversight or they haven't gotten around to it. It seems weird to me, though, that they wouldn't put the campaign in there as well, especially given that this kind of... I don't know. Maybe they just haven't updated it yet. It's probably nothing. It's hard to imagine that they're not confident that they're going to launch on December 8th, given that, 2 days ago, they literally showed off the first big campaign trailer in over a year. I'm sure that's not, something that... I don't know why they would do that. And I mean, unless they wanted to do that, get some goodwill for the campaign to show that it's actually working, and then they're going to wait for a day after Forza comes out and gets all the love in the world to say, hey, the beta's great, this is great, we're going to push the campaign till February. I have no idea. This game doesn't just speak to me, says Quizatch Hatteract. Yeah, you go. I have been off the Halo train since Halo 3. We will talk about Halo, especially as it relates to the trailer that Sony just dropped for Horizon in just a couple of minutes. Blake says, I feel they should delay this game to ensure the co-op launches with it. Co-op is important to Halo, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. Zeph, I hear you. I agree that that co-op is important, but I don't think it's important enough that would be the main reason they're delaying it, given the reputation that this game has had in terms of just being troubled. They need to get this out there and sort of build a word of mouth over the holidays that, hey, this is the game to get. Or this is the system to get. I don't agree with you, Zaf. Zaf says it might just be them pushing multiplayer over single. Sure, but I mean, this is free in-cap space. It's not like when you go to Xbox Game Pass, this is a first-party title. Just slide another one in there. It's not like Evil Genius 2 World Domination is too important to slide off the main triptych. Augernaut says, I've never been a Halo guy myself, but Halo fans are excited. I think this will be something special. I'm happy to hear that at least. Well, like I said, I played the beta for about 6 hours in total, and I loved it. And I've never been a big Halo guy. The last Halo game I really played and enjoyed a lot was Halo 2, and then it just kind of went off my radar. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Somebody was asking in the chat before we get to the actual real news today. They says, Jaffe, why do you drink the Diet Coke? Why don't you drink Coke Zero? And I says to them, I didn't respond to them because I was setting up the stream, but honestly, I don't drink Diet Coke for the taste. It doesn't taste bad to me. Like Tab, when I was a kid, used to taste like shit, right? But it's the aspartame. I'm simply addicted to it. There's nothing about it where I'm like, I'm really enjoying the taste of this. So Diet or Coke Zero does taste better, but it's too sweet for me. And it upsets my stomach. Like, I love the taste of Mountain Dew, but I can only have about 10 sips of it, and I want to vomit because it makes my stomach upset. Brian E. says, back to Halo. Back to the important shit, Jaffe. Most of the prior coverage says single player comes with multiplayer, but if they feel like they need to shift gears, it's a catch-all. They'll say, well, we'll have it on multiplayer. Well, we have it as multiplayer right on Game Pass. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's no way to know right now, and it could just be that and I've checked like 5 times. It could just be that the phone app is slow to update, and maybe like by the time this stream ends or tomorrow, it's like, there it is. Because it's weird. It's weird they're gonna. But I don't know. Maybe if I were Microsoft and they knew they were gonna delay it, or they thought they might delay it, I'd probably do what they did, which is build some good faith over the next 5 weeks with what they dropped Monday, which was the trailer for the campaign. Drop Forza, which by all previews is going to be a fucking smash of a game. Drop multiplayer Halo, which from all the reviews and my own personal experience and talking to people was a blast of a game. And then drop the news, and it'll go down easier because you've built that goodwill. But if you come out today and say, yeah, we're not doing the campaign on the announced date, I think you would really be in a bad position from a PR standpoint. I hope it's good, but I think most established FPS franchises have a focus. We'll talk. Well, I got a lot of thoughts on that, but let's move on first. We're going to talk about, cookies. So I want to talk about this as it relates to a number of things that the next segments, they're going to be marbled together because we're really going to be talking about Sony and Xbox and the shifting sands of the console market. Possibly. All right. So everybody knows this. This was yesterday's news. Xbox hardware revenues up 166% as Microsoft continues to battle supply constraints. This is from GameIndustry.biz. Declining third-party game sales limits growth for Xbox content and services, but overall gaming revenues are on the rise. So the actual content and services group, of which Game Pass is a part of, but there are other aspects to that group, only grew 2%. But the Game Pass group itself grew 37%. So given that they didn't have any premier titles, and 37% growth ain't bad. It's pretty fucking good. It didn't hit the target of 40% or 48%, but it's still pretty fucking good. But here's the really interesting part, though, right? So declining third-party sales limits growth for Xbox content and services. So what we are seeing here cannot be a surprise to the Xbox people and shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, which is when you put all your eggs in the basket of Game Pass, most people are going to stop buying games or they're not going to buy games as frequently as they used to. Even games that are not on Game Pass, unless you're like an avid movie watcher and you like to go out with your friends every weekend to the movies like I used to when I lived in LA, if you're home on the weekend and you've got HBO Max and you've got Hulu and you've got Netflix, it takes a pretty special movie to get you out into the theater if you have a lot of options at home. I think that's similar, which is why you often see people buying less percentages every week when it's like, oh, Outriders came out, or there was a game last week that came out that did a little better on Xbox, but it obviously does much better on PlayStation. I think most of it is because, you know, the people who have an Xbox are like, I got plenty to play, I'm good, right? So I don't think it's a surprise that third-party game sales are declining. I have to assume Microsoft built that into the business model of what Game Pass would do. And they knew, though, that hardware would sell better, subscriptions would go up, and obviously as they start getting premier titles in, things will be better. The only reason I'm bringing this up, I'm bringing this up is because it relates to what Sony is doing with PC. And what I'm going to tell you is I think signs are pointing to Ragnarok, if not day one, year one. And right now, the biggest gap between a PS5 title, or no, there's no PS5 yet. The biggest gap between a PS4 title and PC, I think, is 4 years. And the shortest gap, I want to say, is 2 years. I think my math is right. I think my memory is right, okay? But everybody knows, the story broke the other day, that Sony Santa Monica is not working with the new company that they bought to port games, which is a huge port company. They're working with a company that Guerrilla used to help them finish Killzone on the PS4, the launch title, whatever it was called, Killzone, what the fuck was that thing called? I don't know. Who the fuck knows? You guys, I didn't play it. It was the Killzone, you had the little owl, the little drone, whatever. So this company, Jetpack, so Nixies is who they bought, but Jetpack is just who they're working with, and Sony Santa Monica is overseeing the God of War PC port. Okay. That's coming, what, 4 years, 3 years? I get, no, let's see, God of War was 2018, 19, 20, it's like 3 years, give or take. Okay. So at first you're like, okay, well, we know that. Some people are upset about that. I think it's great, whatever. And I'm going to tell you how it relates back to this Xbox thing in a second. But then there's a story that broke yesterday about this programmer who works at Jetpack he's named and called Warren Lee. And Warren Lee, as part of his, descriptions and all this shit, his experience, he says, I'm at Jetpack, and one of the projects he's working on is God of War Ragnarok. Okay. Now, at first, there were a couple of things that you could think about this, right? You could go, well, it was a mistake, God of War Ragnarok, maybe when he typed God of War, it auto-corrected and put the whole title in because, it assumed that's what he was saying because that's the most recent God of War people are talking about. It could be that Jetpack is also helping out Ragnarok on some other things that are not just the port, in the same way that they helped out Killzone, whatever, I'm sure somebody's already put in the chat, but whatever the Killzone was, the Killzone for PS4 launch title, or it could literally be that he kind of fucked up and he put Ragnarok and they're not supposed to have announced it yet. Well, it is pretty weird, right, that if it is the latter, and if it is God of War Ragnarok and he's working on it, that's pretty weird that you're going to work on a port for a game that isn't even out yet, and then you're going to hold it for, what, 2 years, 3 years? I don't think so. That doesn't make any good goddamn sense. Okay, and then there's more news. Sackboy: A Big Adventure. So Ragnarok, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, would be the first PS5 game to come to PC, right? Am I missing something, or am I right? That's the first PS5 game to hit. Then it seems there's a story. It seems that Sackboy: Big Adventure is on Steam database under the name Steel. And when you look at it, it does seem suspicious. The name of the executable is Marmalade, which is the project name for Sackboy. It is in a folder called Sumo QA, and basically the developer of this is Sumo Digital. And then the Steam database staff, I don't know if this was manually inputted. I don't know how they got this, but it says possibly Sackboy: A Big Adventure. And I don't think anybody would be surprised if Sackboy: A Big Adventure is coming to other systems. By the way, if you haven't played it, it's a great fucking game. Is there no chance, says Six, that this guy is just really valuable and they put him on God of War Ragnarok now that they have him? Sure. That's what I'm saying. There's three options. Option one is I would say there's two options at this point, because this was from 2 days ago. And this has made news literally on the internet all over the world, which is the internet. It's not like if he did something that he's like, oh, fuck, that was an autocorrect bug. He would have gone back and changed it, right? Well, that didn't happen. So he's standing by this. Sony hasn't called him and said, change it, take that down, as happens, often when you leak something unintentionally on like a resume, which means it either is, I don't know. It's either Sony doesn't know, doesn't care, or that he is working on the PS4 version. That is certainly a possibility. But I think ultimately the reason all this is in my brain is when you look at Xbox here, Sony, and Jim Ryan has said this much, but I guess somebody ran the numbers. They clearly ran them at Microsoft. They're probably running the same numbers at Sony and saying, ultimately, yeah, we're going to lose some sales from people that would have bought a PS5 if we go to PC. It's really strange because this is a good thing to do for not Jim Ryan, but for Herman Hulse Group, because you're going to sell more games. It seems the wrong thing to do if the job is to sell more hardware, and the job to sell more hardware, you assume, is more lucrative, because every time anything, even if it's got nothing to do with Sony, sells on that hardware, Sony PlayStation and thus Sony corporate makes money. But clearly somebody either had to run these numbers at Xbox and at Sony and go, I don't know what they're going. Are they going that ultimately the numbers for what you will make in profit on a PC port is so much better that it's worth giving up the licensing fees that we have coming in if someone's playing a game on our hardware? That seems hard to believe. It also seems hard to believe that Sony, I think everybody knows that streaming is the future, but I don't think it's the future in the next couple of years for most people. I think PS6 is not going to be a streaming box. It'll probably be like digital was with PS3 and 4. It's going to be a slow step into that world. So I don't think they're going, look, consoles are dead, fuck it, let's just, I don't understand who is driving, like what is the logic driving the decision here. Xbox, it made a little more sense because they had to do something bold and different, and maybe it was like a Hail Mary. But now it's starting to look like PlayStation, even though they may not be day and date, it seems like they're closing the gap of when they put these games out. And it seems like they're willing to give up sales of the hardware. I don't understand that. I really don't. Unless, deep in the bowels of Sony, there are discussions about, and this makes no sense. I'm just thinking out loud. You tell me in the chat. I don't fucking know. I really don't have a clue. But unless these guys are thinking, hey man, we know we're going to split off. The software division is going to split off from the hardware division. And then obviously we need to be looking out for that doesn't make any sense. Why would the software division spin off from the hardware division when the software division drives so much of hardware sales? It makes no goddamn sense. I don't understand it. If you understand it in the chat, let me know. Zaf says PC gaming has become more popular over the past few years. It used to be 15%. It's probably higher. Yeah, I know. But ultimately what it sounds like you're saying is that the growth of PC is so much, is so much that it's worth giving up all the money that Sony is making off of the licensing fees for Call of Duty and Battlefield and BB and Tina and whatever, Fortnite, God damn it, Battle Pass revenue and stuff. That would have to be a pretty, I can maybe understand it if you were talking mobile phones and smartphones, but you're talking PCs. Brian says we can take it at face value based on what Layden was saying. They are trying to market to the PC market. Sure, well, yeah, but what about... And again, I think it's great. I don't care. I think the more people who have games that they love, and these are some great games, the better. I'm not one of these like, oh, I'm upset. I know. I think that's a ridiculous thing. But that said, though, I don't understand the maths, as the British folks say. Six says, let them go to PC. I really love most PS exclusives, and more people have the chance to play them. I agree. I wish exclusives died. It's already an expensive hobby. Can't we all share? Yeah, the only reason, though, that you have exclusives, at least up until this point, that you love so much is because of the competition. If there wasn't the competition between the boxes, there would be no need to compete between the boxes, and you probably would not get the same level of quality because they wouldn't need to spend that kind of money. Jojo D says, didn't Layden or Ryan talk about the fact that console is not growing? Yeah, absolutely. Maybe Sony is looking elsewhere to open some eyes. Ryan has said that the best-selling PlayStation game, at least I guess at full price or whatever, can only get you to about 20 million if you're lucky. God of War is at about 20 million at this point. Spider-Man's like 22 million. And then Sean Layton was like, yeah, even after he left Sony, he's like, I don't see them ever dropping these games day one on PC. So I know they want to, but Layton did say what you're saying, Jojo D, which is the number of people who play console games has not grown since the mid-90s. So the pie has been split differently, but it ain't growing. And so the budgets are obviously going up. They need to grow. I get all of that. But they're not operating in a vacuum. They're not Ubisoft. They're not Activision. They have this hardware division that they do this massive heavy lifting for. And again, I'm not opposed to it. I'm with 6. Put them out everywhere. Let me fucking play the games on my fucking, GE toaster that's hooked to the internet. I don't give a shit. No, see, I don't think so, Pause. You're saying, don't they make more money on software than hardware? That's what I'm saying. I don't have the math, but given the fact that every single game that sells on PlayStation, money goes to PlayStation. A percentage of that goes to them because they own the hardware that it's being played on. It's hard for me to believe that if you add all of the first-party games' profits up and you compare that to the profits of the hardware group, we could find out. I just didn't bother to look. I apologize about that. That would have been something to look up. I have a hard time believing that the hardware group is dwarfed by the software group because the hardware group gets paid no matter what game it is. It can be a flop. It can be a hit. They're just bringing money in every single goddamn day. So I don't know. Oggernaut says, I wonder whether the shortage of chips, processors, and the lack of PS5 units in the public space force some hands. Could be. The software, says Brian, operates from the hardware. They can accept selling hardware at a loss if the software recoups. Yeah, because ultimately, again, I don't know what the reason is. I think PlayStation says Chongo gamers who spend money on PS Store, like myself, will remain primarily in the system. I recently bought a PC, but more so for indies and upgraded. Yeah, no, I get it. I absolutely get it. I don't think it's going to hurt. It will only help first party. I just don't understand the hardware relationship. It doesn't sound like anybody does either. The console's just there to say, hey, we're here. PlayStation's a staple. But I'm telling you guys, games are not the ducats. Literally, if you go to the PlayStation Store or you go to Best Buy, and you look at all the games that run on a PlayStation piece of hardware, every single time one of those gets sold. Every single fucking time. PlayStation makes money. Even if they had nothing to do with that game. Every single time DLC gets sold. Microtransactions get sold. PlayStation makes some money if it's running on a PlayStation piece of hardware. So the ducats, I don't know. I don't think that the hardware group is dwarfed by the software group at all. I could be wrong, but it doesn't make sense. All right, let's move on, though. We don't know. I don't know. Sounds like some of you guys have a theory, but the only theory I'm hearing from you guys is, oh, well, the software group must make more. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think so. It's possible, though. God damn, that's good. So, yeah, Morgan's saying they take a 30% cut. 30% cut. Are you sure? I don't know if that's right, but let's say that's right. So if you look up the hardware sales and the software side, I wonder then, a 30% cut. Goodness gracious, then. I mean, yeah, you're. How would you? Why would you risk that? It's not like Sony makes PCs. At least with Microsoft, you can kind of understand because every PC, like 98% of the PCs sold, don't have to, but they run Windows. At least Microsoft is benefiting if PCs get sold. But Sony doesn't. I mean, they make PCs, but nobody fucking buys them, right? So yeah, 6 says it's 30% as well. So what do you? Okay, let's do real quick before we move on. What is Occam's razor on this? I mean, the simplest explanation is not that hardware makes less money, and thus they're putting the all the eggs in the basket of software, because 30%. And how many games get sold on the PlayStation, and peripherals get sold, and downloads get sold, and MTX gets sold. You can't tell me that I mean, maybe you can, but I have a hard time believing that 30% of every single thing that runs through PlayStation is not enough to counter the fact that God of War sold 20 million copies and Spider-Man sold 22 million copies. It's hard to believe. Maybe true, but it's hard to believe. Legend says the ducats are from software getting streamed through the platform, which is in the box, but it doesn't have to, but they want something physical. Okay, but then you're just saying marketing. I mean, everything that you guys are saying that are not defending it, but explaining why they are harming hardware sales, again, you could be right. I mean, they could figure that the brand awareness and the brand share and the mind share is enough to merit losing billions upon billions of dollars, but I don't know. It seems weird, man. Console players, says Zaf, are not typically PC players and vice versa. I don't think Sony is worried about dwindling their player base by putting games on PC. Right, okay, so in that case, what you're saying is that the Occam's razor is that Sony's looked at it and said, we're not going to lose the people that want to play on PlayStation consoles. They're a different mindset. 95% of them are very different in terms of what they want to spend, how much they want to put up with to get their games running great. And in that, the money that we will gain is substantially higher on the software side than we will lose from people no longer buying our hardware. I mean, that can make sense. That could absolutely make sense. And then they might also run some analysis like, oh, and if people love this game, you know, our shit on PC, they might say, oh, these games come to PlayStation 4 months before. They might start deciding to buy hardware. So yeah, it could be that. It could be that. Okay. I want to move on, but I wanted to tell you something really quick. Yeah, Ragnarok day and date. It wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me. But we'll have to wait and see. Okay, I forgot what I was going to say. Don't worry about it. Couldn't have been that important. Okay, let's switch gears. Let's talk about... We're going to stay with Sony and Microsoft for a second, though. And let me just say this, please, before we get into this topic I'm about to say. If you're a fanboy, if you are a genuine fanboy, A, this is probably not the stream for you. And B, I wish you would take your PlayStation 5 and your Xbox Series S and your X and S and Switch and shove them up your butthole so hard and so far that the next time you vomit, it's going to be in 4K and HDR. That's what I hope, or 8K in the case of PlayStation. That's what I hope. I am so tired of whenever I bring something up, I mean, that's slightly negative, even though I sandwich it with positive, that I get a bunch of shit from fanboys, okay? So just, you know, leave your fucking moronic bullshit at the door, because we're going to talk about this, because this is interesting to me, and I love both systems, okay? I can sit here and say the state of play today was dreck, and it was. Doesn't mean all the games are dreck, but it wasn't a very good state of play. Doesn't mean I don't like Sony. I've been playing this shit out of Death Stranding Director's Cut until Guardians of the Galaxy came along and took it over. 616 says 8K in the case of PlayStation is your PS fanboy showing. It's not. It's just a fact that you can run some of the games right in 8K. Trust me, I don't even have a 4K monitor. It doesn't matter to me at all. I really need to get one, though. But anyway, okay, so with that caveat, with that out of the way, I want to talk about Halo as it relates to Horizon. These games are not launching in the same time. At least the multiplayer of Halo is launching before the single player of Horizon, which I think is February. Who the fuck knows when we're going to see the campaign for Halo. Let's assume it's still December 8th, though. So it's not a competition that way, but it is a competition in the way that, a couple days ago, I guess it was Monday, when Halo dropped this, and this is not the news. It's more of an analysis I want to do with you guys and see what you think. But when Halo dropped their campaign trailer, and again, this is coming from a guy who I loved the beta of Halo Infinite. It was an absolute blast. The weapons felt great. I played Battlefield for like 20 minutes and deleted it. I played Warzone, that round robin, whatever the fuck that mode was, that was in sort of an open beta, alpha, whatever, and after about maybe an hour and a half, it was fun, but I deleted it. I played this all fucking weekend, okay? So I'm not shitting on Halo, okay? I think this is one of those trailers that doesn't do a very good job of getting people excited unless you're already prone to be excited for Halo. okay? Guardians of the Galaxy, which has quickly jumped to competing for my game of the year. What? It's totally true. I thought was crap until a month ago when the preview started coming out. The trailers were awful, okay? This isn't an awful trailer. It's just a very bland... Like, if you didn't know anything about Halo and you came to Earth or you woke up from a Rip Van Winkle sleep and you didn't know Halo, you'd look at this and compare it to other things and go, maybe it's really fun. But this isn't anything super sexy or super crazy. It's just like, all right, it looks good. It looks good. But it doesn't look amazing, right? And if you compare this to what Sony put out at the exact same time, I mean, this is what I love. They put this out and everyone's like, oh, Craig looks a lot better, which is this... the guy that was getting all the memes and shit. I think they show him right here. Maybe he's at the end. And it's like, yeah, he looks a lot better, but it's not real time. That's real time, but is it right here at the end where we see Craig's face? Why am I getting G4 stuff? This might be G4's thing? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But at the end, you see him. Why am I getting Guardian? What is this? This is not what I'm watching? Motherfucker. Okay, here we go. Yeah, you see him towards the end, and you're like, okay, yeah. Even Xbox, the community manager came out and said, well, that's not real time, right? So, all right, so if you compare this, God damn it, fucking YouTube, go where I want you to go, you fuck. If you compare, oh my God, I will fucking kill you, YouTube. I will destroy you. Don't say that, because somebody actually shot up YouTube. I'm not, Okay, so here's Craig, right? Oh God, I hate the writing of this. Where is he? Come on. All right, here he is. He looks great. He looks amazing. Turns out it's not real time. Fine. Okay, cool. You think Xbox is hacking my PC? Where is what I want? There we go. Give me what I want. That's not real time. Fine. And then you leave this, and you go over to what Sony dropped on the same day, the same hour, whatnot. This is batshit, right? And now, these are incredibly different video games, right? One is multiplayer. One is open world. One is single player. One is... very handcrafted, and it's very, even if it's not linear, because I know it's an open world environment, when they get you into these sort of areas, they know what they're drawing. Everything's covered by trees. You can't see a bajillion miles. There's a lot of level of detail work happening. I mean, there is in Halo as well with level of detail, but it's just this is clearly a much more handcrafted experience, and they can afford to know what's going to be being drawn, know what's being used at any given moment, and in that, they can make it look spectacular, okay? So the only reason I bring this up, though, is it really, it's what I'm not here to rave about Game Pass. I promised I wouldn't do that till December, but it is one of the things that I love about Game Pass, but more importantly, it really is going to be a proof in the pudding kind of Christmas for these guys, because ultimately, if, Game Pass is not going to be able to sell, they will not be able to out-sexy Sony, probably ever in this generation, but certainly not this Christmas. Forza looks great, but it don't look as great as this, right? Forza looks great, but it's not as exciting for people as a new God of War coming. So Game Pass and Xbox is going to be a value proposition, and I think that's great. And there's a rumor that Game Pass just signed yesterday an exclusive, big, massive third-party game that will only come to Game Pass, at least for the first year. Nobody knows what it is. There's a lot of people speculating. But when you think about which box is going to get bought, if you're buying on the sexy, you can't go wrong. Assuming you can find these things, you can't go wrong with Sony. But I agree with what some people in the chat are saying. Like Blake says, at the end of the day, what matters most is the gameplay. At the end of the day, for you and me, you're absolutely right. But at the end of the day, for somebody deciding on which system to buy, so many people are buying visuals, and they are buying production value, and they are buying the sexiness, right? And so Halo might become a huge choice of gamers, and the word of mouth helps it, and the fact that it's on Game Pass, which is incredible value. I think if I'm Microsoft this Christmas, my marketing has to primarily be about, look at all the fucking shit that you get with with a $15 a month, and we're giving you 3 months of Game Pass for $1 free, Game Pass Ultimate, whatever, and comes with your S or X. The only way they're going to win or do some big business, I think, because let's now go back to Halo for a second, right? I mean, Halo is interesting because Somebody in the chat was saying earlier that the days of Halo are kind of numbered. I don't know if that's true or not. But hang on, Optimus, that's disgusting. I'm not reading your name. It's gross. But thank you so much for the super chat. He says, I don't like Xbox, but Halo looks all right. It does. It absolutely does. Thank you, sir, for the super chat. And it does. I'm excited. But this is interesting because Halo as a multiplayer phenomenon has not been just, it hasn't commanded the audience like it used to since maybe 360 days. And even then it was slowly kind of starting to wane, if I'm remembering correctly, right? So now Halo is going into the market with Battlefield, with Call of Duty. I don't remember, I know Call of Duty, the World War II one that had the multiplayer, like that was on 360. I don't know if Modern Warfare came after Halo had ruled the roost, but there's so much expectations now that are different for multiplayer. Whether you're talking something like Halo, something like Call of Duty or Battlefield, whether you're talking the younger kids, like Halo used to be massive of all ages, right? Kids are playing Fortnite now, man. They're not, I don't think an 8-year-old's going to look at this like they did back in 1996 and go, or 8 or whenever it was, oh my fucking God, Halo is, or 2000, whatever it was. Halo is fucking awesome. Master Chief is awesome. I don't think it has that audience in the bag. I think a lot of people have moved away from it to Call of Duty style gaming. And then I think if you watch this campaign trailer, the people who love story-based games, this is not good compared to what you're playing from Sony, or even what you're playing from Guardians of the Galaxy. At the very end, that line is so cringy where they're like, the pilot says, oh, a lot of people want to kill you. And she's like, it kind of seems that way. Yeah, it's like terrible. It's just so, 8 years ago of story single players. And I'm not knocking it. People are going to leave your fanboys at the door. I'm excited to play the multiplayer. I'm excited to play the campaign. I'm talking about it from a pure standpoint of how this is going to be reacted to by the market. Is anything that you're seeing here, it doesn't have the sex appeal of PlayStation. It doesn't have the quality of single player storytelling of PlayStation or some of the rare third parties that do it well. And it doesn't have the current modern cachet of more adult shooters. And it doesn't have the kind of kids, Fortnite, Among Us kind of flavor. So I just don't know where this is going to sit, basically. When it came out, I drove the stupid truck and stopped playing right there. Oh, it says RPG. You didn't like it? I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I agree Halo may not be the looker, but I think other Game Pass titles like Fable and Hellblade will look as good, if not better, than Sony's AAA. Victor, you may be right. I don't care. I have them both, and I play my Xbox as much as I play my PlayStation. I love Xbox, and I love Game Pass. I'm just talking about it from a pure standpoint that can this do, based on what we've seen, what they need this to do for them? Or is this going to be like, oh yeah, you remember Halo, that was good, it's back, it's really fun, and it just becomes one of the many things that people are playing multiplayer? Or can this, based on what we're seeing, I don't think, like I said, if you didn't know this was Halo, you'd go, all right, it's cool, fun, neat shooter, I'll give it a try. But no, I don't think anybody's watching this and going, oh my fucking God, did you fucking see that Halo trailer? I've never been able to do that in multiplayer. We have arrived. I mean, you've got fucking Battlefield, which I thought was boring as shit, where you're flying inside tornadoes, right? I mean, you've got Call of Duty, which is the most popular game in existence other than Fortnite, where I just don't see it. I don't see it. But if you do, let me know in the chat or call in. I would love to get your take on it. Like, if anybody's watching this and going, Jaffe, you're totally wrong. And again, I am not knocking Halo, so back the fuck up. I am simply saying that it doesn't look like it's going to be the big fucking thing of the holiday season like I think Xbox hopes it will. And I could be wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong. I don't care. Stiffmeister, thank you for the super chat. He says Battlefield 1 campaign was epic. I don't even know if I played Battlefield 1's campaign. But I do know that the Battlefield, 2048 or whatever it's called, I thought was really neat. And then it got really boring fast. Brian E. says, Jaffe, I watched Thrash Gaming's bit on this trailer. While he's clearly a Sony fanboy, he made good points regarding the visual quality and AI of Halo Infinite. Okay, what are they? Halo seems to be going the route of word-of-mouth advertising. From what I gather, Halo's always been corny, but it made up for it with the gameplay. Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely no doubt that if Halo is a fucking blast in the multiplayer, they'll be more than fine. Because everybody will be playing it, and everybody will want to have it so they can play with their friends, and they're off to the fucking races. And again, that may be what it is. I have been, I don't think humbled is the right word, but I've been educated is the right word in the last 2 months. Like I said earlier, Death Stranding, I thought was a horrible group of trailers. It looked so boring that I avoided it for over a year. When I finally got around to it, I'm like, fuck, this is a great game, right? That was word of mouth. Guardians of the Galaxy, I literally was making fun of, not as a dick, but just like I couldn't help it. It was so terrible when it was revealed at the Game Awards in Christmas. I'm like, really? This is crap, man. This is dumb. And it's one of my favorite games of the goddamn year. So it's very possible. But even, look at the little dudes, man. Look at the little, if you're listening and watching, even that, like these little goofy fucking dudes that maybe were acceptable back in the early days of this franchise, these little fucking, you know, what's the house fairy called in Harry Potter? That whatever the fuck his name is. These little goofy cartoony fucking things. Like, it's like people have moved beyond that. And it's you know, but yeah, word of mouth could save it. That's for sure. That's for goddamn sure. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with what you're saying, D-Zizzle. D-Zizzle says, I think the moment-to-moment gameplay of Halo is unsurpassed in the competitive FPS field. I don't think you're wrong. I like the time to kill in this game. I like the shields in this game. I like the moment-to-moment tactics in this game that you don't see in a lot of other games. There's no doubt that this is a great game in multiplayer. I don't know how much legs it's got, but I agree. I am not knocking the fucking game. I am simply saying that I don't know if commercially it still has what it needs, and is it going to be enough to do what they need? Let me get these super chats real quick, and I appreciate it, you guys. Lewis or Louis, I don't know how to say that name ever, but let's just say Mr. Huesca. Thank you, buddy. He says, off topic, but if you were Sony, do you move Horizon off of February? Since now you have Elden Ring launching the week after? That's a really good question. I mean, there is some audience overlap. There's no doubt. There is absolutely some audience overlap. I think Horizon is a more mainstream game, but I think Elden Ring, although Elden Ring I thought is exclusive to Xbox, isn't it? Educate me on that. Don't make Lewis pay for it. Somebody else tell me. Isn't Elden Ring an Xbox only game or no? I thought maybe they're just promoting it a lot and they have a good marketing deal. But let me wait and get that, then I'll get back to your question. Christian, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Halo's a hype machine. It does not look polished, says Christian. I mean, I think it looks polished. It just doesn't look like there's, no matter how much you polish it, it just doesn't have the level of detail and fidelity that I think people are used to in these kinds of games. And in essence, really, that's the brilliance of Halo, in the sense that it's not looking to push you into a little room and say, we've made the room look beautiful. It's like, it's about speed, and it's about moving, and it's about open, lines of sight at times, and all kinds of things that you can't do in a lot of these games that look prettier. Although I guess Battlefield doesn't look beautiful either, but it's big open world. They have a lot of shit going on you don't see here. But to ask the average customer to know why what you're seeing on your screen here looks good, but what you're seeing on your screen here looks phenomenal, they'll just go, oh, Horizon has better graphics. Okay, Elden Ring is multi-platform. I didn't know that. I thought it was... Okay, so here's the only thing I would say. I think Horizon is a much more mainstream title than Elden Ring, but I think the fanboys and the noise is going to be very front-loaded for Elden Ring. So I think if people have to make a choice, the fanboys would go for Elden Ring, and they will lose some immediate sales from Horizon. So, I I don't know if it could hurt. I mean, why not push it to March? Why not push it a couple of weeks? I don't think that would be a bad idea. If I had to push one of them, if I was Sony, yeah, I probably would. I'd consider moving it a month out. Why not? But thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Christian, for the super chat. I appreciate it, buddy. Multiplayer will definitely be fun on this game, says Brian East, but one of the Thrash's points is AI is not very intuitive. You go invisible in front of one of them and immediately he puts his gun away. Oh, I mean, yeah, but I mean, he was playing with bots. I mean, how often, if you're playing a campaign-based game, are you really expecting in a shooter the AI to be, they need to be good. And I hear that, I played against the bots. I thought they were pretty good, but if you're playing campaign, it's more about the level design scenarios and the individual enemy requirements to kill. It's not about an AI system that, wow, that's just like fighting a real person. I mean, if they were betting the farm on bot fights, I would agree with you. But these are kind of hand-scripted scenarios in the campaign, aren't they? They don't appear to flank or maneuver in the trailer, at least. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'll have to play it to know. I played a little bit with the bots, and I thought it was fine, but I'm not a hardcore shooter guy. Okay. Saints Row is in more trouble coming out the same day as Elden Ring. You think so? You think the Saints Row audience is the Elden Ring audience? I don't know if I agree with that. So interesting. So Legend says, and we'll move on after this. Legend says the Series S is holding back Xbox Series X. After they said S wouldn't hold X back, we're starting to see that it is. So again, though, whatever they said to you in the press is kind of irrelevant to me in regards to this conversation. To me, what's interesting about it is, if they said that and they knew that it would hold it back, then they have to be under the impression that really they are a kind of word of mouth thing, right? And I'll give you a great example that you see on other subscription services. Everybody was talking about, what is the movie that just came out that's doing pretty well at the box office? We're talking about Shang-Chi, which did really great. And they were talking about, isn't there a big horror movie that just opened #1 and did really well a couple of days ago? But whatever it is, that was on everyone's radar. Squid Game was on no one's radar. And in fact, if you look at Netflix, they were pushing more Midnight Mass from Mike Flanagan than they were pushing Squid Game, which is also, from what I've seen of it, phenomenal. So I do think if Xbox is going, look, we're not really playing the game you're used to people playing. It's almost like Moneyball, right? I'm not saying it's exactly like Moneyball, but in the sense that they're not trying to win the World Series the way the World Series has historically been won. They're going, yeah, we know you're going to ding us on some of the graphics. We know you're going to ding us on some of the polish. But because the business model we have in place is such, word of mouth is going to be our strongest ally. And they might be right. I hope they're right, because ultimately I do put gameplay above everything else. And that's what I'm into. But we'll see. All right. Let me take a drink of the bubbly and we will move on to the next topic, because, that's all I got. Hang on. So I've been playing, Death Stranding, and if you play, this is not the topic, by the way, I just want to share. If you play Death Stranding, the part with Sam Porter where he goes back to his room and he can drink the energy drinks, right? Well, I love the sound they make, and I love the sound of the can stuff. So lately I've been drinking just like, and slurping it like he does. I don't know. It's just fun for me. Fuck you. I'm 50 and I can kick and stretch. Okay, here we go. Come on. Listen to me. Warner Brothers Multiverses. Now it's not Monster Energy Drink. It's whatever. Bridges Energy Drink or whatever. Warner Multiverses roster leak. So this came out yesterday from my nemesis, Jeff Grubb. I don't even know if he's my nemesis. I just don't like him. Because he's a dick. He was a dick to me. Maybe we'd be fast friends if we met each other in real life. Who knows? But anyway, so he's talking about this rumored Smash Bros. Clone with all the Warner Brothers, come on, Jeffy, characters. and Warner Brothers has a shit ton, right? And the word is that it's kind of cheap looking. It may very well be free to play with lots of characters. I'm a little weirded out on this because on one hand, it's like, I mean, there's so many weird things about this decision. Like, one hand is the brand, right? I understand if they said, let's do Smash Bros. With DC superheroes. Let's do Smash Bros. With Looney Tunes. Let's do Harry Potter Smash Bros., right? But the characters, and I'm going to show you a picture in a second, the characters are so fucking different in the Warner Brothers stable, which is on one hand really funny and is really cool. This is, here you go. I mean, somebody made this. This isn't who's going to be in the game. What they've leaked, this leaked today and it's been taken down. But, you got Steven Universe, Batman, Harley Quinn. What are these guys from Adventure Time called? Finn and the dog? I don't know. Shaggy, Soups, Wonder Woman, Gandalf, Rick, Bugs Bunny. What's this guy's name? The goddamn Tom and Jerry. Right? All right, fun. Right? But it's very easy to look at this and go, after the novelty wears off, is there really anything here that anyone cares about? I think it's easier and more interesting to market a brand of the DC heroes or the slashers or whatever. It's fun to go, oh, look, Harry Potter fights Freddy Krueger, right? Or Freddy Krueger fights, Morty or something. It's funny. Or even bringing in the cast of Friends. Here's David Schwimmer down here, right? Who the fuck knows what they could put in there? That's fun. But it seems like, I don't know, it seems kind of fun in a goofy sort of way that after you get over it, there better be a fucking great game there. And so far what I hear is it looks kind of cheap. And that's the other question. So the question one is, should they be going this big on the brand yet? Or should they go, let's just make a superhero Smash Bro. And let's make a Lord of the Rings Smash Bro. Let's see where that takes us, right? The other thing is, like, I just, as much as I love the boldness of this idea, it almost feels like too much, right? Could be wrong. The other thing is, like, Smash Bros, and I know a lot of people like to say Ultimate versus the Wii version. I don't fucking follow Smash Bros that much, but I know the most recent one, some people are like, it's not as competitive. That said, though, Smash Bros has always been it's a perennial fighting game staple at esports, okay? And then you've got the things like Nickelodeon that just came out, right? If this is going to be, if this doesn't get the itch scratched of competitive Smash Bro, will it even matter, right? I mean, is there an audience for just sort of, there's Brawlhalla, but Brawlhalla has done well because if you don't have access to Smash, you still have this fun game that you can play on pretty much every system in the world. And I'm sure you can play this on every system in the world too, but it's like, I don't know, I'm just struggling trying to figure out who this is for. Who this is exactly for. I'm not complaining. I think all this metaverse shit is awesome. I love it. It's funny. But I wonder if I was sitting at an executive table and somebody came to me and pitched this, would I go, that's the one. Let's fucking do it. Oggernaut says, it's crazy how these companies go Smash clones, platformer, fighter, but never attempt to go the route of Def Jam SmackDown versus Raw, top-down brawler. Is the Aki engine locked up in IP purgatory? There's a Def Jam SmackDown versus Raw? Is a top-down brawler? Brian says, this is for adult kids with nostalgia. Nostalgia for what? Steven Universe? I mean, these are still a bunch of kids' properties. It's the game version of HBO Max, says Legends. Yeah. But do you think it is... and fuck, this guy says no Teen Titans Go. I'm so tired of people picking on Teen Titans Go. Teen Titans Go is a funny fucking show. Fuck you. And I read the fucking actual Teen Titans comic book, which is awesome. I get the Titans are great when they're being, like, real, but it's a fucking funny show. Fuck you. But I don't know. I don't know who this is for, but this leaked today. There was some video footage that leaked today, and, there you go. We'll see. It was taken down. I mean, I'll play it. Of course I'll play it, especially if it's a free-to-play game. Hell, I almost bought the Nickelodeon goddamn game the other day. But I heard it was just kind of shitty. But the word is this looks and feels cheap. So if they're not going for a competitive fighting game, I don't know how long they can sustain interest in something like this, but I don't think we'll be seeing the Nickelodeon fighter on the NPDs, like the top 20, but we might. Just real quick, here's a New Year's resolution. I think that we will be saying goodbye to Blizzard in the next couple of years. I think they will be folded into Activision. Obviously, we know BlizzCon was canceled. It was already going to be an online-only event. Blizzard used to be, I mean, and I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you guys listening to this stream know what I'm talking about. You guys remember it. Blizzard used to be almost like the Willy Wonka chocolate factory of video games. It was like a dream factory. Even though I did not like, but a lot of their games weren't for me. I wasn't a World of Warcraft guy. I wasn't a Diablo. I liked Diablo, but I was never like one of those hardcore guys. But I could appreciate the love and the craftsmanship and the quality. And then when Hearthstone came out, I totally fell in love with all things Blizzard, and I not the games, but the world and the lore and all that shit. And so I look, man, I absolutely loved that. And I loved them before they were Blizzard, when they were called Silicon and Synapse with Rock and Roll Racing, Lost Vikings, Blackthorn. Loved this company. But it's gone down such a decline in terms of, obviously, its reputation as a place for people to work, as well as a lot of the key main talent that made it what it is are gone. The games are tuned a lot worse than they used to be. I don't think it's ever coming back. I think it was just magic for a time, and tragically, it was magic that could only happen, or that was only happening with a bunch of fucking assholes that were toxic and abusive as fuck. And so it just kind of seems like more and more. I don't have any data. I'm just when I saw them cancel this the other day, it just seems like we're gonna see an announcement, in the next year or whatnot, where it's like, yeah, it's just Activision now, and they still make these games, but it's not gonna be. Not to say Activision isn't guilty of their own shit, but it just seems like if they can take one of these names that are kind of run through the mud, they'd probably get rid of Blizzard and just make it all Activision. So we'll see. Just a theory I'm putting out there so that when it happens, you guys can say, hey, Jaffe predicted that. He's a fucking genius, man. I want to tell you about, I'm not going to get to all the ads today, which I know will make you sad. But I love that we have so many people willing to pay their ducats for ads. So if I missed your ad today, I will absolutely get it on the next stream, and I will get it in the podcast. But I do want to tell you about this ad. This is from our good friend Spazbo. Spazbo has World of Longplays. It's not his site. He contributes to the site with about 4, 5, 6 other people. If you've been on the net for any decent amount of time, though, is what I'll tell you, you have to have heard of this channel. And you'll see the link to it going up and down in the stream. Spazbo is one of the key guys over there making sure that they got fast and frequent comment-free drops of all the video games you love. There's a lot of nostalgic games on here. There's a lot of older games, PSX, Xbox 360, going all the way back even to Intellivision. They've also got some new drops. Back for Blood is on here that they just put up. There was another brand new one I saw the other day I was watching. I love having this in the background when I'm working. Here's the long play of Sesame Street. That's the best. It's a wonderful thing, instead of like a Yule log in the background when you're working or whatever, to just, because again, as much as I love talking to Spaz on the stream and playing games with Spaz online, he's not talking. It's just the sound of the game in the background, and you're working, and it's a wonderful little companion. I highly recommend you check it out. It's World of Longplays, right over there on the YouTube, and it's a really neat idea for a site. They're super popular already. They don't need me. They've already sold. They have over 1 million subscribers over there. So don't act like you're doing them a favor. But you do want to be with the cool kids and get on over there and check it out. It's good people. Okay. I want to talk very, very briefly about a couple of other stories really quickly. GTA. Now, I put a video up the other day about the GTA changes that are rumored to be coming, that aren't just quality of life mechanical changes, but they are actually content changes. And nobody really knows yet, except for the character, what's this guy's name? Phil Cassidy, who's kind of a gun merchant, redneck, white supremacist vibe character wearing a Confederate shirt. Well, it's interesting because, so the Confederate shirt's going the way of the dodo. Here you go. It went from this, if you're not watching, he's got a Confederate shirt on, and now it's got a skull. Okay, hello, Melina Khan. Always good to see you, buddy. How are you? So what's interesting about this to me, though, is there are some changes that and again, it's subjective. I don't care. I mean, I care, but it's not my game. I support a developer and a publisher's right to do whatever the fuck they want. So if they want to go through and they want to change everything to make it super progressive, which is what I am, right, Mr. K? I'm down with that. If they don't want to change a goddamn thing, that's their right too. But I will say it is interesting that at least so far, this is the only thing we know they're changing. Like, because this makes sense to me. This flies in the face of what I think, and a lot of people think, that games are art and they can be about things and something to say. This character is kind of a redneck shit kicker, white supremacist, if I recall correctly, kind of an asshole. And so I don't care if he's wearing a Confederate shirt, because he's kind of an asshole, or he's a total asshole. It would be like playing the Django Unchained video game and them not having people in the KKK. It's like, the game's not supporting the KKK's views. They're assholes, right? That would be different, though, in this game. Like, for example, there are things that this game does where it's trying to get the player in on the joke, making fun of other people that I don't think are bad people. You know, you're not talking white supremacist at that point. You're just talking, different types of people. And that, I think, is a good thing to go. Again, it's not my game. I support the right to put whatever the fuck they want in it. But I do think it's harmful to make trans jokes and gay jokes and LGBT jokes at the expense of that community. I don't think we should accept that as consumers. As advocates of the First Amendment, supporters of the First Amendment, of course, we should accept it. But as consumers, I don't think we should accept that. And I do hope those things change. But when you're talking about a character whose very nature is he is this thing, and it's not the game's voice saying, hey, I'm going to have these NPCs say something, you're going to giggle because they're making fun of trans people. I don't have any time for that shit. I think that's rude and awful and disrespectful and ultimately harmful. This is different. This is a character who's an asshole. I'm totally down. Eddie says it's unfortunate to see Rockstar of all companies censoring. We will never get Manhunt 3 because they don't have the stones to make it. I mean, again, that is a very valid perspective of someone who has never made a video game professionally. So, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I don't think you have, Eddie. I don't think that's what you've done, right? And I only say that because games, before they even come to the public, are censored. Do you think this game got everything Dan Houser wanted? Or do you think there were times he stepped over the line and Take-Two or 2K or whatever was like, yeah, it's your game, but we have a problem with that. We're gonna have a lot of shit that we have to deal with if you do that. I mean, God of War was censored. The very first God of War, Twisted Metal Black was censored, right? Twisted Metal 2 was censored. But you didn't know about it because it came out and people liked those games and there was never a follow-up. So the companies are always making changes in order to make sure the product they sell can reach the biggest audience without harming the very product that they're selling. And in this case, I think changing this character's shirt, I think it's not harming the sales of the product, but it does harm the integrity of the product. But I think going in and if the integrity of the product is there are some very unsavory bad guy characters who have these traits of being like white supremacists, I think that harms the integrity of the game if you get rid of them. If the game gets rid of punching down cruel jokes that are against minority groups or anybody really, but specifically minority groups, and it's not coming from a character that is unsavory, I think you should get rid of those if you can. Well, there's really not, though. There's not a difference between censorship and making artistic choices if you're talking about, if you're talking about government, sure, but if you're talking about private companies, where one guy, my artistic choice for the UK version of God of War 2005 was to put a living prisoner in a cage and burn him alive. Well, artistically, I was allowed to do that in America, but in the UK version, they had to turn him into a zombie, right? Well, That wasn't my artistic choice, but it wasn't censorship. I didn't pay for the game. I don't own the game. Joey says, I have OCD really bad, like debilitating. I can still joke about how it's portrayed in the movies. I think it's ignorant if you can't poke fun. Absolutely, Joey. I don't think that the problem is, though, is that frankly, OCD people are not being rounded up and thrown off rooftops in the Middle East. OCD people are not being hate crimed all over in America. Specifically, black women OCD sufferers are not dying in larger numbers than any other minority group on the planet. So I think there's a difference between going, can't you take a joke, and going, this is a group that's struggling right now with a lot of the most serious problem you could talk about, which is their own fucking safety. And I don't think it's okay to put out in the culture that, I think it's okay legally, but I don't think morally or karmically or just as a nice person, it's okay to put that out in the culture and be like, isn't that funny, guys? It's like, well, maybe the joke's funny, but it's mean. Oh my God, I have to tell you great news. It's not going to be great news for all of you, but it's great news for your Papa Jeff. Are you ready? Now, you might think, and again, I only realized this because somebody wrote me today and told me. We all knew there were some changes coming to Returnal. We all knew it. Nobody's going to know that. We all knew it. And the change that they announced was like, you can put it into sort of, you can save your game in the middle of a run. Right? And I'm like, okay, well, that's better. At least it lets me take a break and play another game and all that. But ultimately with Returnal, when I was in a run, I rarely wanted to get up and be out of the run. And even if I did, I just suspended my PlayStation, went and had dinner or whatever, and I moved on with my fucking life, because you can do that in this game. So I was like, all right, that's nice, but I wasn't expecting an easy mode, but I was expecting maybe more Ember, which is if you don't play the game, it lets you kind of make a clone of yourself, or more health and something, something that actually just made it a little bit more doable. Well, somebody says to me, you know what you can do, Jaffe? There is actually a save mode in this game. I'm like, what are you talking about? And the guy says, all you have to do is you put it in suspend mode, and then you upload that save to the cloud, and then you play, and then when you die, you pull your suspend mode out of the cloud, and you're right back at the beginning of the boss. And I get that a lot of people will be like, if I win the game now, I beat the game, which I might now, they'll be like, well, you didn't beat it the right way. Even the developers, like, we want people to have this experience. I don't care. I gave you $60. I love this game. It's one of my top games of the year. I will never finish this game if it doesn't have something like that for me. If I have to die at a boss and then go back over and over and over, I'm done. I played this obsessively, and now I'm done, and now I'm not because this. So again, they don't owe me that. They're the developer, but I hope they don't get rid of that, because I don't care if it's cheating. I still have to fight the boss. It's good enough for me. Dzizzle says, and Legend says, why can't people accept that the game was just a product of its time? Again, Legends, I'm down with that too. If Rockstar comes out and says, look, just like I've said this before, just like Disney does, when they put out Dumbo, they say, look, some of the stuff in this movie isn't really going to go down with modern audiences, but we're leaving it intact as a historical document. It was a relic of its time. It doesn't reflect the views of our company 100%, although a lot of it we stand behind, like the crows that were very racist in Dumbo. I think that's great. I think that's fine too. But if they just put it out with better graphics and say nothing, I don't think that is a responsible thing to do, is what I'll say. All right, the last thing I want to tell you about today is some news that happened. And again, I don't play. I used to subscribe to Stadia. Zaf says, I beat it, but saving's a good addition. Most rogues save every time you enter a new room. Right, so you can quit and resume. Yeah, I get it. But in this case, you got to kind of jump through some hoops to save, but I'm down. I'm totally down. Brian says, I think I would prefer the advisory over modifying. Yeah, and maybe they will do that. I don't know. All we know right now, Rockstar has said nothing. They never say anything. All we know right now is in the trailer, the Confederate shirt is gone. And there was a report a month ago that talked at first about the quality of life mechanic changes, and then in a separate line of the article said that there will be content changes to vibe. They didn't use the verb vibe, but to vibe with modern audiences. That's all we know, right? It could be a million different fucking things. We don't know. But it looks, if you look at the Confederate shirt, like they are going to be messing with content. But I would agree. I would prefer the advisory over everything and just leave it as a historical document. Although at that point, then you get into a question of like, okay, well then why are you updating the graphics, right? Then it does become kind of an interesting, philosophical question. It's like, okay, if you want it to be a historical document, then just make it run as is, graphics, frame rate, load times, and everything, just like it was back in 2001 when GTA 3 came out. But if you're going to make it more palpable, if it's going to control better, if it's going to look better, if it's going to have fast load times, if it's going to have blazing good frame rate, and it's still going to be emotionally the same product in terms of content, then it's like, well, then you're really trying to resell what is no longer seen by many, many people as funny and satirical, and it's just mean, and you're trying to package that up in a way that will appeal to new audiences. I don't know about that. GTA was a game that was supposed to offend, so let it offend, says Legends. Well, again, if that's what they want to do, they have the right to do it. I support their right to do it. But I don't think... I look, here's the deal. I don't think you saw any white... I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but there are lines in GTA... well, wait, that's not true, though. Brian says, if you reprint an old book, making the book look better is not the same as changing it. No, but if you make the book easier to read, right? If you take Canterbury Tales and you say... Just like it's the exact same thing, actually. If you take GTA 3 and you put it in front of a 12-year-old today, and he's got the new Saints Row, and he's got all these other games that he can compare it to, he's going to go, no. If you take Canterbury Tales and you put it in front of a 15-year-old high school, junior high student, they're going to say, oh, this is work. Or Shakespeare, it's so hard to parse this shit. But if you update it and upgrade it so it's palpable... Right? It's the same thing as doing that with graphics and controls and all that shit. It's not just reprinting an old book. You're literally changing aspects of it to make it more acceptable for modern audiences. So I don't know if I agree with your take. GTA was a game that was supposed to offend, let it offend. If they want to, that's great. But it depends who you ask. Some people say it's satirical. Okay, well, it's clear when certain things are satirical, and there's also things just kind of seem mean. Right, Zav says, look at people's reaction to Duke Nukem Forever's humor. There's tons of backlash about the toilet humor or Drawn to Death, but in the 90s, it offended but appealed to younger gamers. Right, that's true. All right, I want to tell you about this real quick. I love streaming. I think it's the future. I'm not going to sell you on that tonight, whatever. What I think is interesting about this is how it kind of dovetails into what Sony is trying with trials in, I think they're doing it in Poland and one other place right now. And this is kind of cool. And again, I don't think it's enough to bring me back to Stadia, but they announced today that they're starting to do tests for trials on their games. You do not have to be a member at all. I don't even know if you have to sign up. Well, you probably have to sign up so it tracks. And they're only doing it with one game right now, but they're going to roll it out with a bunch of other games. So I'll give you an example. The game they have right now is the only one they're doing it with is a 30-minute trial of Hello Engineer, which I guess is like a Hello Neighbor version. Thank you, Rob the Mod, for that scintillating view of the world. So here's the one they're doing it with right now. I haven't tried this. I just want to see what the experience is like. But I'm no longer, I'm signed in because I own Cyberpunk on this, and I used to be a Stadia Pro member, but I'm not anything anymore. They don't get any of my money anymore. So I just want to see what the experience is like. But I think, and I have no interest in playing Hello Engineer, but I think this is pretty interesting, that it's like there's no barrier of entry, right? It's free for 30 minutes. It's streaming. You don't have to download anything. Oh, let's try it. Let's see what the experience may be terrible. I don't fucking know. But I just something to keep an eye on, and I think it's going to be coming for a lot of people. I don't think this is exclusive to Stadia. I think anybody would think about this. I think Xbox would say, hey, Xbox is a little different because of Game Pass, but I could see Sony going, we're doing these trials, and you can either download them or you can stream them. Oh, it's been sitting there. Let's play it. I'm not going to play the whole game. I just want to see what it feels like. Legend says, I like people of today to see what we played when we were young and be like, they thought it was funny and all that. Yeah, I think so too, but then let them play the actual thing we played. But the minute you start updating it, you need to refresh account access. To access your game, you have to refresh your account. Okay, sure. Whatever, pal. I mean, I'm just going to put this on real quick. I just want to make sure I'm not giving away passwords and shit. Just trialing games over stream, says Joey. This should be standard at this point. Yeah, it's not, but it, slow, but here we go. We're getting there. All right, here we go. Oh, give me my fucking mouse back. Stadia, you fuck. All right, so there we go. I got 20 seconds, 29 minutes to play. Again, I'm not going to play this on the stream. I just want to see what the experience feels like. And again, not everybody has a PC. I don't know, I don't want a Stadia. Maybe they'll bring Stadia to Xbox or something. I don't think that makes any sense. That might. All right, new game. Let's just see what the lag is like. Story mode. Skip. I don't care. Well, the loading should fucking be faster. Come on. That was the one reason I bought Cyberpunk on Stadia. Was because I thought you were going to be getting the best PCs on the planet, like solid state drives and all that, and you were going to be getting RTX and all that. But day one Cyberpunk was the best running on Stadia that you could get. But I shouldn't be sitting here with load times this long. It's ridiculous. I'll tell you what, that's the one goddamn thing that has spoiled me on PlayStation and Xbox. Is load times now really are kind of a thing of the past, which is fucking great. All right, here we go. All right, so I always enjoyed the Stadia experience. That never felt like lag to me on that. I'm playing with a controller, though. Let's see if I can drive this fucking thing. Action menu. Yeah, this is so not my kind of game. Connect. Yeah, fuck it, I don't care. But anyway, that's not even the point. I'm not really here to play the game. It's just more of an idea of... you can't finish the level on foot, drive a car to the finish line, fine. I just think it's pretty cool that you can just kind of jump in and try shit, man. I mean, how cool is that? What is this? Use? What? What the fuck is this? Action menu, connect all. Okay. Amazon Luna's going to kill Stadia. I stopped subscribing to Amazon Luna as well, though. Right? I was just like, yeah, I'm done. But not because I didn't enjoy it. I love the tech of both services has been fantastic. But ultimately, you're only as good as your software, like anything else. And when you've got Game Pass and Game Pass streaming is getting better, and downloading is fast, why would I give these guys money every month? It's the dumbest fucking thing. And it really does. It does make you wonder why in the fuck. And that's it. I just wanted to show you that. It's pretty cool. This is the only game that does it right now, but they're saying they're going to be doing it with a lot of other games, which I think is awesome. But yeah, I don't. The dumbest thing that I think these guys did was shut down their first party. It's like if you're going to compete, you need exclusives, and the fact that they don't have any real exclusives is stupid. I mean, whatever. Try other games. Let's see. That's the only trial that we can do right now. I want to go to the Stadia Pro and see what games they've updated, though. So if you have Stadia Pro, you basically pay like $8 or $9 a month. And this is kind of what you get. Let's see. You get free games. So these will be free as long as you own your monthly subscription. But that's what I want to see. I want to see what's the state of the pro games right now. Luna's still in beta, taking it slow. Legends. I had Luna for like maybe 6-7 months. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I just felt that it was there wasn't enough to play on it that was worth playing. I'm trying to see where all their games are. Stadia Pro games. Here we go. There's a demo for Metroid Dread. Well, there might need to be, because the thing's dropping off the charts fast. Grime is a great game. That was Stadia Pro. Control's great. That's Stadia Pro. I don't know what a lot of these are. which doesn't mean they're bad. Yeah, none of these are like, oh my god, I have to fucking get this. It's one of the reasons I got rid of it. Yeah, these are not for me. Spirits, Lucky Big Adventure, Soldier. Yeah, there you go, Novodamus. I hear you. I understand, sir. Okay, and then I just want. No, I think we're gonna. Well, let me just tell you this real quick. No, I'll save it. I was gonna go over the polls that we put up yesterday, but we'll do that on the next stream. Okay, fellas. So that has been Gabbing and Games for October, whatever today is. I don't fucking know. It's almost Halloween. October 27th. A lot of interesting stuff we talked about. Hope you had a good time. Thank you for the super chats. I very much appreciate it. All the members, welcome. Good to see you. Thank you guys for being members and supporting the channel. I will be back maybe tonight streaming a game. I don't know, but I'm going to go watch some stuff with the family on the television set. And afterwards, I might do some streaming or cut a video or do something like that. But I will be back. Jaffe, don't you think, says Victor, instead of this timed exclusive, perhaps Sony should be working with third-party devs to make exclusive games for their platform? I mean, at that point, the question is why? I mean, if Sony spends the money to make a third-party game exclusive, sure. But at that point, you know, I mean, I think it has to make sense, right? I think they look at, I remember being at Sony when Crash Bandicoot came in from Universal, and it was called Willy the Wombat. And they're like, okay, we want this on our system, even though we don't own it. But I think it's got to be a real special game to make them say, let's get rid of one of our first-party slots for a game that we fund, that we own, and give it to someone else that is going to be good for the hardware, even though we as a first-party developer are not going to see any real upside. So I think that takes a real special game and a real special deal, which is not unheard of, but I don't think it's the norm for sure. All right, I'll see you guys in the future. Be safe. We'll probably see you tonight or tomorrow. But be safe. Have a good night.